right, we'll go ahead and get hold up. Good morning, everybody. My name is Emily Howell. I'm the Director of Membership and Marketing with the Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. This is available online, thanks to the city to watch as well. So thank you if there's people out there on the internet watching along with us. What an awesome turnout. We had to pull out more chairs. That's always nice to see. So we're excited to be here today with our Brookings School Board candidates. We have 6 candidates going for 2 seats on our school board this election. This morning's forum will be a little bit, or the format will be a little bit different. So we'll have our moderator, Don Norton, will be asking a few of them a certain question with the opportunity for anyone else that has input to chime in. But otherwise, we get to, the 6th candidate, and it gets to be a little repetitive, and they say that we agree with them, right? So we'll be going through that. Don's got a list of questions, and then if you have questions in specific, Leanne Pierce is walking around the room, and she's got some sheets of paper she can give to you. You can submit your questions to her, and we'll get them up to the front as well. Let's see, what else? Thank you to our sponsors that make this morning possible. First and foremost, Cool Beans Coffee, because that's a priority on a Saturday morning as well. And also to the Brookings Economic Development Corporation. They are the season sponsor for our Public Affairs Committee, helping to make all of these forums possible. And finally, to our Public Affairs Committee, who puts in a lot of time and effort to also pull these together and chip in that volunteer time. So we really appreciate them. With that, I will introduce, we have our moderator this morning, Don Norton, CEO of South Dakota Rural,
Ag.
It's a long moderator, Andy Fahlberg, our president and CEO of the South Dakota State University Alumni Association. So thank you to both of you. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Don Norton to lead us in.
Well, thank you. Good to see what an outstanding turnout. And, of course, we're also on cable, and this will be posted on Facebook. So this is a really terrific community turnout. We have 6 candidates here. They are in alphabetical order by their last name, and they are running for 2 open seats on the Brookings School Board. School Board election is Tuesday, April 12th. By the way, there are 5 total positions on the school board, so this will be 2/5 of the school board, which is a pretty significant number. Okay, one more time, just let me review the format for our forum today. We'll have our candidates make 2-minute opening comments, and then I'll pose 1 question to 3 of the candidates, and I expect a 1-minute answer from each of those 3. And then I'm going to ask the other 3 if they have anything to add, only for the sake of time, and they're certainly welcome to speak for a minute if they would like to, or they could just say, I agree with Joe or Jane, and we could move on. We do have a lot of questions, and thank you all very much. We want to get to as many topics as possible. The questions, by the way, were generated by the Public Affairs Committee from the Chamber, and also emailed in from the general public. And I want to thank Leanne Pierce for getting all of these questions up here. She's going to give your questions to Andy, and then she'll send those over to me. At the end, the candidates will be allowed 2-minute closing statements as well. I want to remind the candidates to push that magic button and speak directly into the microphone so that our audience here can hear, but also so that it gets recorded properly and gets out on the cable system and onto the Facebook later on. I'll be referring to our candidates by their first names, if that's okay. And let's begin with the opening comments. Candidates are seated, as I said, from my right to left, your left to right, by alphabetical order. And Emily is doing the timing here, so if you see her hold up signs, that's what that's all about. So first up for the 2-minute introductory comments is Teresa Binkley.
Good morning. Thank you to the Chamber for offering us this opportunity, and thank you for everyone who came here today to listen. I'm Teresa Binkley. I grew up on a dairy farm in Minnesota with 4 brothers and 2 sisters, so Brookings is not my hometown, but it is the town I call home. My husband, Mark, and I moved here 38 years ago. This is a town where we've had our careers, and we are both retired from SDSU. This is the town where we've raised our children, Laura and Steve. They've had an excellent education in Brookings. They now have their own careers and have started their own families, and we've been blessed with 5 grandchildren. Brookings is a town that gave me the opportunity to continue my education. I attended SDSU, and I've earned my undergraduate degree, master's, and PhD, all at the university here. And that's a lot of education, and it's might sound like I'd be kind of overdone with it, and I am proud of it, but I'm more humbled by it because I'm a first-generation college graduate. So I know not everyone has the opportunities I've had. I've used my education to be a teacher. I've taught for 10 years, including 5 years at the Brookings Middle School. And I've had a very interesting career at SDSU, researching and studying bone density and body composition in children and adults, and even in our SDSU athletes. So I was very honored in the year 2000 when Brookings elected me to the school board, and I served until 2003. My father passed away that spring, so I did not seek re-election. But now, at this point in my life, I'm retired from my career, I've raised my children, and I have the time to devote to being a school board member and serving my community. That's where y'all come in. I'm hoping for your vote so I have that opportunity. And thank you again for coming today.
And the next candidate with opening comments is Jason Bowes. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out and participating in this process. I really do appreciate it. And a big thank you to Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. I want to give a huge thank you to our outgoing school board members, Melissa Harriman and Van Fishback, for their time, their commitment, their leadership that they have provided for us all over the last number of years, and especially through these challenging last 2.5 years. Can't say enough about the leadership that you guys provided us. Now they are moving on to other things, and we've been, I was born and raised here. We've had kids in the school system since 2004. Through that, we have met many terrific, amazing educators, staff members, administrators throughout that process, and we are really proud of the education our kids have received here. We've met many educators that have went above and beyond the call of duty for what you would expect of teachers and staff members, and we're to the point where our youngest is graduating here in May, and so we're at a transition point and willing to give back to the district any way we can. Some things, the main areas of attention that have my attention is the mental health issues that we have going on, along with the evaluation of the staff compensation, which goes into the overall culture of our community and our facilities. And I just got the word. My time's up. Thank you.
And our next candidate with opening comments is Jessica Gearing.
Thank you all for coming. I just want to say I think it's fantastic that this many people want to get involved and help the kids in this community. A little bit about myself. I've only been in Brookings for about 9 years. I grew up in the Flandreau area. After my dad retired from the military, he moved us back here because that's where he grew up. My husband grew up here in Brookings. We have 2 kids that'll be in the Brookings School District, so newcomers to the school district. I have a first grader and then going to be a kindergartner. So I'm kind of a newbie to the school board idea in the school system, but anything that I've learned is sometimes fresh eyes are a good thing, and I just want to focus on the mental health, and I think I've got some great ideas. I think partnering with some local people, SDSU, we could probably form some programs that would really help the students. Yeah, I don't really need the 2 minutes, I guess.
next candidate with opening comments is Terry Johnson.
Microphone on. And I'm excited and happy to be running for the school board. I believe the teaching profession contributes more to society than any other profession. And I have witnessed that within our district. All 5 of our children went through the Brookings School District. My husband went through the Brookings School District. And so I've witnessed firsthand just the excellence of our school system. Education has been part of my life since I was a little girl. It's in my DNA. Both of my parents were lifelong educators in Rapid City. Both of my father-in-law and mother-in-law were teachers here in Brookings. And now 3 of our adult children are teachers. 2 of our grandchildren are in the school district here. And I currently teach at SDSU. I've been teaching there for the past 8 years. I've been an ordained United Methodist minister for 30 years. And so I've served congregations around the Dakotas and most recently in Minneapolis. And so my history is working with a diverse group of people. You might not know this, but people in the church don't always get along. And so I've had to learn how to navigate differing opinions. And I am a positive bridge builder. And I think that would be an attribute to a school board. Thank you.
Is Kayla Lounsbury.
Good morning. My name is Kayla Lounsbury. Thank you all for being here this morning. I think it's fantastic to see all of you taking your time on a Saturday morning to be here. I am married to Brad Lounsbury. I have 2 sons that currently are in the district, one of them attending Mickelson, one of them attending Camelot. We moved here in November of 2020 from Williston, North Dakota. Currently, I am the CFO for Blackshirt, which is an oil field hauling company in North Dakota. And I also help run our business, BK Home Builders, and we build homes here in Brookings. I believe in being an active participant in the community. In our former city, I was on multiple boards, Mom's Club board, I was on the swim club board, and I started the soccer club from the ground up there as we had many children who wanted to play soccer and we didn't have a program. So I got that started. And I'm passionate, and when I am passionate, no obstacle is too big. Currently, I reside on the Brookings Swim Club board, and I do plan to continue my participation there. In our short time here, we've met a lot of people. We moved here for the opportunity. We moved here for better education for our sons, and I believe that they are getting that. We plan to remain here long term. As I said, my husband's a builder. We love the area, we love the people, and I look forward to all of the ways that I will be able to serve the Brookings community and our youth here. Thank you.
Thank you. The next candidate with opening comments is Rhonda May.
Good morning, and welcome to the Brookings School Board Candidate Forum this morning. I'd like to begin by thanking the Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce and the Public Affairs Committee for hosting the forum, our moderators, Chamber hostess Emily Howell, who got roped into this, my fellow candidates for running, for their desire to serve, current school board members for their service and dedication, and to those in attendance today here in person as well as watching online. I am Rhonda May. I have been a Brookings School District resident since 1993 and have had 3 sons graduate from Brookings High School, with our youngest son currently being a freshman. If elected, I would offer a unique perspective as a current parent and as a former employee. I was employed with the district for over 13 years, beginning as the guidance secretary at Brookings High School and eventually the administrative assistant at Hillcrest and Dakota Prairie Elementaries. I can tell you this is a little bit different than doing announcements every morning when no one can see me. I worked respectfully and successfully with students and families, staff, and administration. In 2012, I was selected as a Brookings School District Classified Employee of the Year. I am a former PTA member as well as Brookings High School Band Boosters Vice President, President, and Trip Chaperone. I was also a Brookings High School Choir Booster and a current concert chaperone. I am currently employed with the City of Brookings Parks, Rec, and Forestry Office, and I'm our Employee Advisory Group's chairperson as well as our Wellness Committee's chairperson. Accountability, school safety, and mental well-being of both students and staff, respect and treating others how we want to be treated, and student success are fundamental to me in my campaign. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get to our first question, I want to compliment everybody on your good behavior today with your cell phones. Please make sure they are off. I forgot to make that announcement earlier, but so far so good, right? Secondly, I want to remind our candidates that we have 1 minute to answer these questions. And I'm going to start with the three at that end, Jason in particular, because we're going to rotate who starts answering questions first, and then I'll give our other three candidates an option to answer. So first question is the easy one. It's about the budget. That was a joke. How would you...
It was a good one.
It was a good joke. How would you determine budget priorities for the school district? And in particular, what would you look at for making budget cuts? Jason.
Budget cuts. I guess I haven't thought about budget cuts because we have a number of needs in our school district. One of the big things that we're dealing with right now is getting students into the classroom, and also teachers out there or staff members, having a shortage of staff members out there to fill the positions, and it does seem like that, we're constantly fighting fires day to day to get through the day which takes away from our time to do any planning or adding any additional services. So, I guess as far as budget cuts, I don't see any place for any budget cuts for what I know of right now. Does that answer your question?
Very good. I'll repeat the question for Jessica. How would you determine budget priorities, and in particular, where might you make budget cuts?
Agree with Jason. I don't really see where we could cut the budget. I do feel like there are probably opportunities in the community as far as raising fund for extracurricular activities, and then maybe taking some of the funds that would normally go to those activities and rolling them into something else. But I think that's definitely something we have to do as a community, as a group, and I think that would serve the students and community best.
Regarding budget priorities and possible budget cuts.
Well, I was on the school board when we had to experience budget cuts in the years 2000 to 2003, and it's very difficult. I always say educational cuts never heal. And we had to work hard. We also successfully passed an opt-out that helped some, but we still had to make cuts, and we had to make hard decisions. And we worked with our business manager and our superintendent at that time to try to keep the programs we knew were the most valuable. And it wasn't easy to make any cuts. But I've had that experience, and so I kind of know the process we used that time, and I think it would be helpful to use the same type of process if we had to do it again in the future. Luckily now we're at a point where we have a lot of COVID relief money, and we've been able to use that. So as that dwindles, we will be facing cuts that we'll have to make. That's my perspective of it. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And now I'd like to turn this question about budget over to Terry, Kayla, and Rhonda, if you have other comments to add.
I'll add something. I don't think that there are going to be a lot of budget cuts coming with the 6% increase for school funding. I think it's going to be about finding ways to allocate those funds to the needs in the school district. If those funds do run out, then it will be time to talk about that. But I think what we have to talk about right now are the needs of the school district and the money that is coming in, and hopefully we can use those in the appropriate manner. So allocating them is more important right now to me than cuts. Again, if they do come, I've had experience with it. Being in the oil field in 2020, we had to make some significant cuts to be able to continue our operations, and it was very difficult. So I am aware of the needs when they arise, but I believe right now we have to look at the needs of the school district and use the funding that we're getting appropriately.
Next.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that we have to be creative with our budgeting process. There's several gamuts to that. I also believe that we need to look at some grant opportunities. That is something that I'm interested in as a school board member, to see if there's anything out there available to us. And then also, I believe that it will take working together, as Teresa said, as the business manager, superintendent, and the school board, listening to our staff and families also. Excuse me. The biggest thing I think we need to look at as a school board candidate is working on our classified staff pay. I believe that those people deserve to be their pay looked at this year coming up, because it's kind of hard to say that you are doing that for the education system when you can go to Culver's and make $17 an hour. So I believe that we need to look at our classified pay. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second question begins with Kayla, Terry, and Rhonda, starting with Kayla. There's news of a new COVID variant spreading in the U.S. As a board member, do you support the current implementation of the Bobcat Tracks COVID response plan? And would you advocate for mask mandates and online learning if there's a surge here in Brookings?
That's always a tough question to answer. I am in favor of the way that the school board has implemented the phases as they've tried to keep our children safe. But I do believe with some of the variants that we have seen that they are not affecting our children as drastically as we have been told. And so it would just depend on what that variant was and who it was affecting. If we need to, yes, online school, I'm not in favor of that. I hope that we would be able to do everything possible to keep our children in our schools because I think it's very important. I feel like failure rates right now are increasing because our children weren't in school, because they were masked, because there were things that we didn't foresee, and now we have to remedy these consequences of not knowing. So that's a tough question to answer when it comes about. I think we'll look at it, but I believe that together we can come up with a solution to keep our children in school.
Thank you. Rhonda?
Thank you. Yes, I agree with Kayla that I do support the way the school board has been handling COVID. To me personally, I believe there are so many other things right now warranting. We can look ahead at the future of a possible COVID variant coming, and I understand that is a huge concern for many. However, I believe that is up to the parents to dictate whether or not their child mask. However, I do know that we do have some staff that have underlying health conditions. In that case, I would be totally in favor of masking for that staff member. Again, I do believe it's a parent's choice. I believe in face-to-face learning. I think that a lot of our students lost ground the last couple of years. Again, I support the board. I maybe didn't agree with everything they did, but I did support them. That is our proper respect to give to them. So again, I would appreciate face-to-face learning as well as no mask mandate. Thank you.
And Terry?
First, I want to thank the school board. You know, it's navigated. And so we didn't know, it just hit us, kind of blindsided us. So thank you to the school board. It is a hypothetical question because none of us know, and we've been told we could be living with COVID maybe for the rest of our lives with different variants. We don't know. But what I do know personally, and what I've found in my own life, is that I need to trust. And I think we've lost a lot of trust as society, as individuals. And I trust scientists. I trust my doctor. And I trust, what teachers say. You know, it's not just students that are affected, but when children are homesick and they get COVID, then teachers who have children get sick. And so for me, it comes back to trust. And I trust the experts, just like I trust other people that do their job.
That same question up to Teresa, Jason, and Jessica. And if you have something to add, please go right ahead.
I do have something to add, thank you. The reason we have a COVID mitigation plan is to keep teachers and students in school. And if we look over the last 2 years, we've had some different strategies. And now we have data that we can use to give evidence to which strategies kept students and teachers in school. And so I think as we go forward, I will always use evidence-based decision-making to help us know what to do. And I think if we look at that, we know that we had 1 year with masks required, and we had 1 year with masks optional or strongly recommended. And we know, looking at student and teacher attendance, which one worked better to keep students and teachers in the classroom. And so I would use that data we have and consider what happened. We know what happened. We should consider that in the future when we make these decisions.
Jason?
Yes, I'll answer that. The variants just keep coming. When are they going to end, right? That's the question. I would follow the precedents of what our current school board and administration did, because I really think they did an excellent job navigating through this terrible experience that we've had over the last 2.5 years. So I think they really laid out some guidelines, and I believe firmly in individual freedom and individual rights to take care of your own health and your safety, and preserving that, and following what's been done. We've been through it, so we've got a pretty good idea. Thank you.
So I for a lot of people. I do feel like as a parent and seeing my son start kindergarten wearing a mask and how bad he hated it. As a parent, I would never want to do that to my son again or any child. I do feel like it is a parent's choice whether or not they want to have their children wear a mask, and I think that it should be up to the parent. So I love that the board did make it optional or strongly recommended, because I do think it is a parent's choice.
To move on to our third question, and we're going to begin with the team on that side. In particular, we're going to start with Jessica, then move on to Teresa and Jason. So here's question number 3. Of all of the things that the school district has to be concerned about, please list 2 priorities in the district that really need attention, and then you have the rest of that minute to solve them.
I guess the couple of reasons why I decided to run. I think 2 things that are really an issue with the school district is mental health and parent involvement. I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. You've seen the depression rates in kids starting to rise since about 2012. You got to look at why it started to rise and how do we fix those problems. I do feel like social media and stuff like that has contributed to it. I know my husband and I have discussed about starting basically a campaign with our own children when they get to that age to stay off social media, because I do feel like it does affect kids in a negative way. And I'd kind of like to see the community rally together and also start stuff like that with their own kids.
Thank you. Teresa?
Of course, mental health we're in almost a crisis situation now with that. And I support that we've used our COVID relief funds to hire a social worker, 2 mental health counselors, and a school psychologist. The other issue I think we're facing now is just valuing our teachers and empowering them. There's a teacher shortage. I'm sure after many parents have had to deal with COVID-related teaching issues at home, they understand how hard that job is. And I think we really need to give our teachers a voice and be sure that we're treating them as professionals. The other thing, though, I would say is as a school board member, it's not good to just focus on 1 or 2 issues. It all goes together, and so we might have some priorities, but we need to keep the full picture in mind as a school board member.
And Jason?
All right, I too, mental health issues are the top of my list, and according to the survey done by Chad Adamson that was released. I paraphrase that as increased anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And it's really sad to see that on the rise, and a decrease in optimistic outlook. And that's something we all have to work on. And the first plan I could come up with to work on that is, number one, is increasing community awareness, so that we all know what they're struggling with. Number two, face-to-face learning. We want to strongly encourage face-to-face learning, get all of our students, as many as we can, back in the classroom with their teachers that work so hard to educate them, and support extracurricular activities of all types. That is one part of the puzzle. The next thing is staff compensation, which goes right hand in hand with that. We need to build our culture that encourages people to come teach in Brookings. Thank you.
Now let's toss that same question about two priorities that really need attention over here. And let's start with Rhonda, then go to Terry and Kayla, if you'd like to comment.
Thank you. Yes, I agree that safety and mental health is a huge issue to me. I've heard from several parents, and since I announced my candidacy, that they do not feel safe in the upper levels. And there have been some incidences this year that have occurred. Somehow we need to make students and staff, because I've heard from staff also not feeling safe again in our school system. I don't know honestly what the answer is to that, because we are limited in our funding. We have only so many staff. They have their time. They don't have a lot of prep time. They can't be in the hallways. I don't know what the answer is to that, but I do believe that's something we have to look into. I also believe that the mental health will go hand in hand with that. If a student feels safe in the school setting, I believe their mental health will increase. I also believe that accountability is a huge concern. It starts at home with the parents instilling it in their students, carries over to the staff, as well as the administration. Thank you.
And Terry.
It's a great question. We are in a mental health crisis. We are. And researchers say we'll probably be in one for 7 more years, just coming off of COVID. And so it goes beyond, it is important to students and staff and teachers, but as a community, I think we have to approach it holistically. How do we talk about this? What do we do to support teachers and students and families? I don't want to see teachers responsible for all the emotional well-being of every student. That's a lot for teachers. And I think it's our teachers' mental health, too. We talk a lot about student mental health, which is true, but our teachers have been through so much. And so what can we give the teachers in support as way of mental health? And I also think another issue facing our district is transparency. I think, what's said here isn't get shared here, and what's shared here isn't shared here. And I think that makes people distrustful. And so I think if we could have more transparency, I just think we'd all be better off.
And Kayla.
So I think the two things that I'm most concerned about are mental health. When I saw the Search Institute study that came back from that Chad Adamson, I actually sat down and talked with him about before the results came out, I didn't realize how profound mental health issues were until I saw that survey. And as a mom, I was terrified. It's a huge issue. I know the district is starting to hire more resources for it. I know there's funds available for a psychologist, and I hope that we fill that role. My other concern is the failure rates. And I do believe that this started with technology. It was perpetuated by COVID. We have kids, 1/3 of the students at Hillcrest are needing reading intervention right now. So how do we support those programs to be able to continue our education until these things are addressed? Our students can't learn effectively. So supporting that and supporting our teachers' mental health and our students' mental health. So those are the two biggest concerns I have right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Wonderful answers. And I just wanted to remind everybody that this is the Brookings School Board Candidate Forum. We've been in here about half an hour, and I think of people tuning in online or people watching on the cable system at home. Just so you know what this is, it's brought to you by the Public Affairs Committee, of the Brookings Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by the Brookings Economic Development Corporation. These 6 candidates right here are running for 2 available seats in the April 12th election. I'm going to mix it up here just a little bit in our format. I'm going to go right down the line. 1 minute each. And here's the question. Will you be voting for or against the $33 million school bond on the June 7th election? Why or why not? Oh, Teresa, why don't you start us?
I support the facility planning that the district has been doing over the past year, and I am supportive of the bond. It's not just about a facility that has a good boiler and electrical systems and that. It's about having a facility that can let our teachers use models in education, and they need certain spaces to do that now. It's not a school with desks in a row and the teacher up front anymore. We need spaces where students can collaborate and teachers can use models that allow technology and individual kind of learning plans. And so we have that at Dakota Prairie more so than at Hillcrest and Madera, and we need to make all our elementary schools equitable. And so I am in support of the bond election.
I am also in support of the bond election. Hillcrest, my mom went to Hillcrest, I went to Hillcrest, all my kids, my sister. Hillcrest has been around a long time. It's served its purpose. It's time to upgrade that. You know, there's utility issues. There's a whole host of reasons to upgrade that facility. Madera also, I understand there's issues with the roof. They're going to repurpose. There's 14,000 square feet that can be reused, remodeled, but that one is in dire need also. This is part of the strategic plan that has been put in place by the current board members and the administration, and it will cost the taxpayers about 85 cents per 1,000 of assessed value. So, you know, if your value is $200,000, you're going to pay about $170 extra in taxes. You know, it's a good value. This current school board has done a great job putting together a good strategic program for us, and I think we need to stick with it. Thank you very much.
Jessica.
Support the bond election. So I think he gave you all the numbers. But yeah, I think it's a small price for the community to pay to help support the schools, improve the schools. And, you know, Brookings community just keeps growing. And the bigger we get, you know, we need the more space, the better schools, the better that we can serve these kids and help them learn and grow.
Yes, I wholeheartedly support the bond issue. I read somewhere that public schools get more foot traffic during the week than any other public building in a community, and yet they're often the last ones to get fixed. And so absolutely, because we know the research is out there that shows the environment a student's in directly impacts their learning, whether it's lighting and windows. And so to put those together, it just makes sense, and it's something very exciting that I hope our community will get behind.
Thank you. Kayla.
I also am in support of the bond. I think it's important, as Jason went over the numbers, to educate our community on the low cost of to each of us to be able to provide these spaces for our children. When you go through and read the reports on what our special education staffing is having to deal with in some of these schools, our food prep for our children, space for learning, it's very important. I think it's just a matter of educating our community on the need for this. I believe that we should have equity in all schools, and having Dakota Prairie have all of these advancements and these technologies that these other schools don't have to provide learning doesn't seem equitable. So I think it's just a matter of educating everybody on the board, on the bond, and I believe that our students and our teachers, they're worth it.
I agree with everybody here. I am totally in favor of this bond issue. After serving at Hillcrest Elementary and moving over to Dakota Prairie, it is true Dakota Prairie does have some advantages over Hillcrest, and I'm assuming as well as Madera. I didn't have any children go through that school, so I am not familiar with Madera as I am Hillcrest and Dakota Prairie. I do believe in equability between all the elementary schools. As part of Dakota Prairie, when we first started that school, it was just fun to see the kids' excitement, the students' excitement, the staff, everybody. It was just a fun, bright learning environment. And that does have an impact on a student's learning. So yes, I am totally in favor of this. I totally agree that it is much needed, overdue. And how do you put a price tag on a student's education in our future? I don't believe we can. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our candidates for weighing in on that. And thank you to the audience here for giving us live questions today. And thank you, Andy, for writing them out so that I could actually read them, which would not be the case if we were switched, I think. So for our fifth question, we're going to go to one of those live questions. And I'm going to start down at that end with Jason and then go to Jessica and Teresa. In a community, in a world experiencing political divide, how do you think a school board can or should protect cultures in the classroom?
Well, the division, number one, we focus on the Brookings School District and let everybody else do their thing. We focus on our stuff and try not to be impacted by world news and what's going on nationally and take care of each other. You know, the last 2.5 years has been extremely divisive, and it's a horrible thing. You know, who would have ever thought that our government would come out with a list of people who are essential and who are not non-essential? How much damage did that create? So we've got to get past that. We've got to move on and help each other. And when it comes to the school, we've got to support our staff and our educators because they are really doing a tremendous job to this service for this community. We've got to get behind them and help them in every way we can think of. Little things, you know, whatever. We've just got to show up and support. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
thank you.
Jessica.
I would agree. The last couple of years has been very divisive. I mean, I've seen it as a student at SDSU. I've seen it in my place of employment. I guess I kind of feel like the school should be separate from politics. I don't believe that these kids should be impacted by adult politics. I think it's two different things and shouldn't go hand in hand. I know sometimes they do have a little bit of crossing, but I think that as a school board member that I would keep my politics as well as other politics out of it.
Could you repeat the question for me?
Community, in a world experiencing political divide, how do you think a school board can or should protect cultures in the classroom?
Okay. Well, first of all, a public school needs to welcome all children. The first job I had, my principal told me, your main responsibility is to teach them all. And so it doesn't matter their ability, their race, their ethnicity, their politics, their religion, their gender, we need to teach them all. And I will point out that the search survey that was mentioned earlier, that tells about attitudes and behaviors. In our district, on that search survey, there were some good things. And one of them is this: 71% of our students who answered that survey answered yes to valuing diversity. And the question was somehow related to you get to know people of other racial and ethnic groups. And so sometimes I think our children answers it for us. I think we do have diversity in our schools, and I think our teachers are supporting that, and I think our community needs to, like Terry has been saying, have the trust to also support that.
Thank you. Now I'm going to ask this side of the table to add comments that you might have. Go right ahead.
I think as a I think we can, political division aside, we can rise above that. And we're a diverse community, and we're made up of wonderful people. And so I agree with Teresa. I think from the minute they start school, it's welcome and acceptance, a safe place where all children, all students are accepted and respected. And I think that's being done. And I think we need to get out of the way and let our teachers continue to do that and trust that that's what they're doing.
I think it's easy to see the divide that's happened over the last couple of years. I don't think any of us aren't aware that it hasn't exactly been conducive to progress. I think that our school board and our school system does a good job of including everyone. I really do. I see it in the children. And I think that the biggest thing is that connectedness is so important anymore. And to heal the divide, we have to come together again for our children and for our community. Leah Brink last week said it best. We have to get to the bottom of these things. Maybe this is impacting mental health. What are the ways that we can find for our children and our community to bring everybody back together, because we have more in common than we don't. And I think we all forget that. So I do think this is impacting our students a little bit, but I think it starts at home. I think the connectedness and community and those values begin at home.
Okay, Rhonda.
Thank you. I would agree that the division that we've had these last couple of years is sad. It has affected families, it's affected our workplaces, it's affected everybody, as well as our students. I don't believe that the politics should be brought into the school system. I agree that they do overlap. However, I shouldn't know your political affiliation by your classroom decor, the statement said, and so forth. I believe there's a place. If you're going to state your political beliefs, then have the other side represented also. It's all about equal time and equal issues. I do believe that we can work together regardless of our political affiliation, and it comes down to respect. I don't agree with, no one's going to agree with everything that I agree with and what I stand for, and I don't agree with everybody else for that matter either. But I do respect you as a person. So it comes down to respect and trusting each other for the common good. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Once again, the format for our forum today is that we're asking 3 of our candidates to actually weigh in with 1-minute answers, and the others can add if they would like to. It is not required of the second 3 to add, but we seem to have a good discussion going, so this is wonderful. Thank you. Our next question, don't go away, Rhonda. Our 6th question is directed, starting with Terry, Kayla, and Rhonda. Going to start with Rhonda. What are your thoughts about enhancing student activities? For example, music, debate, fine arts. And would you grow the number of activities? Would you increase activities staff? Would you improve facilities? Your thoughts on that? Once again, we'll start with Rhonda.
Anybody that knows me knows that I am a lover of the arts. I was a former music ed major that did not finish that degree, so music is dear and special to me. We have a fantastic fine arts program as well as our athletics. I believe that we have enough activities offered. And there's such a wide range. We have debate, and you look at all the awards that our students and staff have been winning recently, and wow, we have much to be proud of in the Brookings School District. As for increasing staff, yes, I do feel that there is a need for increasing staff in certain areas. Again, to me, special to me is the Fine Arts Department. I don't know how many students Mrs. Perry has and Mrs. Winghart in the music, and for those that were at the choir concert, but I believe there are 260, maybe 300 students involved in the fine arts, and I do believe that they could use additional staff there. Thank you.
Terry?
Yes, I'm having a natural intelligence. And so for some students, they learn best through nature. Some students learn best through music. Some students learn best through art and creativity. And so I am a large proponent of how do we incorporate not only the extracurricular, but also bringing those aspects into a classroom and really understanding that children and youth learn in a variety of ways. Everybody doesn't excel in math and reading. And so how we can bring in some of the music and kinesthetic learning and nature learning into the classroom, but also heavily support the extracurricular. And at the same time, I'm always eager to learn how we can support those students who come from families that don't have any background in any of that. They can't afford a violin. They don't know about extracurricular. And so we're missing a whole group of students. And what can we do to facilitate their participation so that it's really for all students and not just a select few? Thanks.
I think our school district offers a large variety of activities for the children. I know my sons are involved in several of them, not just athletics, but also band. I have one kiddo that is loving all the creative things that he gets to do with art. So I think it's very important to support these programs because I think it does contribute to a healthy child and mental health. It also provides well-roundedness. They learn so many things in these activities outside of what they learn in traditional school classrooms. You know, they're learning to work together and they're learning to be a good supporter, a team supporter, and they're learning intrinsic motivation. I mean, we could go on and on. So I think that it's so important to have these and to have them supported. I got a little nervous there with the middle school with track coming up. We struggled to find some people to step into those roles. And I'm so grateful for the staff that do take on these roles and provide these for our children because I do think they're very important.
And now we'll move that same question about extracurricular activities. Should we grow them? Should we increase the staff? Should we improve facilities? Let's start on the other side with Teresa.
Well, excellent comments. Ladies, I don't know that I have a lot to add to that. I think we do have plenty of extra enhanced programs for our students. I know my own children took advantage of those, sometimes to the point that they were overwhelmed because they wanted to be in this, that, and the other thing all at the same time. So I really feel that they do enhance our education for our learners in the district. I think we have a good balance, and I think Terry, Kayla, and Rhonda made good points, and I have nothing to add besides that.
Jason.
Yeah, extracurricular activities are tremendous for the growth of our kids in all types. Our family is associated with the athletic side of things, but the arts, Brookings has a strong, rich history in the arts and tremendous programs, and all those activities lead to positive performance and engage, and they also allow parents to be engaged with their children. So they're a huge part of the success going forward, and we've already seen some positive steps in that direction. So we need to continue that, encourage that, all of us as a community, to support our extracurricular activities, every single one of them. As far as adding any on, we have some participation level problems in some of them. So, we need to get people out participating in them. And as far as adding any more, if we have trouble with room for students, then we could talk about it at the advice of the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jessica.
Anyone up here, I think it's very important. I went to school in Flandre, like I said earlier, and they don't have as many opportunities. So coming from a small school and then seeing what Brookings has to offer, I'm excited that my kids are going to have opportunities that I did not have.
Thank you very much. Teresa, we're back to you as the first person to answer this seventh question.
Keep going. Yeah, they just keep coming.
Are you ready? They do. And they keep coming from this group out here, which is really terrific. So what would you do as a school board member to establish a safe environment? Perhaps I'll use the phrase give a voice to students that have our various student populations, the LGBTQ plus community, the students of color, and students with developmental needs.
Okay, I kind of stated earlier that we have to teach them all. We have to look at, whether it's their academic abilities, their race, their ethnicity, their gender. We need to teach them all. We need to be welcoming. We need to, I think, a lot of times put ourselves in their perspective, in their parents' perspective. We need to be inclusive. And to do that, it sometimes is hard for some of us if we have different perspectives, but it's important for children to grow and develop and feel that they can be the person they are, and we should enhance that and help them in that journey to their adulthood.
Jason?
Well, I think we're already doing some great things. We have quite a diverse group going there right now. I think we need to continue down the path we're on. I don't believe in singling anybody out for any reason whatsoever. There's a precedent set there for handling these issues, and we continue down the path.
Jessica.
I mean, we are a diverse community, and I do think that everybody deserves an equal opportunity to learn and to be heard. So, I mean, I guess I don't really know what the school can offer or do, but I mean, I'm definitely willing and open to hearing, what the community thinks that we should be doing.
And now I'm going to offer the room. What would you do as a school board member to establish a safe environment or give a voice to the many varying student populations that we have in our community? There is no particular order.
There's no particular order.
Go right ahead.
Okay. I think students are welcome, then we have to mean all students are welcome. It's easy to say it, but we have to mean that all students are welcome and that all students are safe. And, empowering students and helping them find their voice is critical. I think for so many, I'm not talking students, I'm talking community members and adults, education is the key. Educating ourselves, because a lot of times ignorance leads to fear, and we operate out of fear. And when we operate out of fear, it doesn't do anybody any good, especially our students. And so I think that is important, because I believe every single human interaction is either going to be for the good or for the bad. And when you put that in perspective, then that really says a lot about just the job that we all have to do when we interact with each other, with students, with our teachers, to be positive in that and empowering. Thank you.
Safety is always at the forefront of our minds, especially as a mom. I know safety is a concern to me. Teaching respect, I think, is something that goes hand in hand with safety and bullying. I also think that technology is a huge problem these days with our students, and it does lead to bullying. It's very easy to be a keyboard warrior and to put out whatever you want on social media, not recognizing the consequences of that. And again, I think it's something that has to come from home. But I also think that as far as bullying goes, you have to ask yourself, this is a learned behavior. Where are they learning it from? Because in the last 2 years, I've seen a lot of it. And I've seen more of it between adults, which concerns me. So teaching respect is important. The safe usage of technology, especially on our campuses. So I am in favor of less of it. I believe that is contributing to bullying and safety problems, and I think that there are ways to talk about increasing our student safety and making them feel more welcome.
Rhonda.
I believe that every child can and deserves to learn, regardless of their gender, anything else, social status, everything. And I do believe that our educational staff is doing a very good job at doing that. I don't know in particular what I would change. I look at our ELL, English Language Learners program, on the report card that just came out, and they are above the state standards. So our ELL staff is doing a fantastic job of welcoming our foreign students into the Brookings School District that are now residents of our district. I don't know how many languages Medaille serves, but when I left, I believe there was over 30 different languages at Medaille Elementary. So to welcome those students in is phenomenal, and they've done a fantastic job of that. My biggest thing is respect. I will treat you as I wish to be treated, and I believe if we all did that, our world would be a better place. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our 8th question, and this is going to start on this side of the table with Terry. Describe the role of a school board member. Specifically, should school board members be involved with communicating directly to teachers and staff?
Majority of the work, the school board works with policy. And so that's a big part of it. Although I also believe at this time with so much, I think, just cultural division, and I'm not talking specifically, but I'm thinking culturally, division, and not a lot of trust. I think that it would be important, and I think it'd be creative to think outside the box and say, what if one school board member was the liaison with this school? And what if one school board member was the liaison with this school? And because I think transparency is the best. And when the school board doesn't know what's happening and how a teacher feels or the administration, you get silos. And silos do not help communication, and they just don't help a system. When everybody's in a silo and not communicating, silos don't work. And so I'm always a proponent for open communication and open transparency and talking to each other. Why do we have to put limits on who can talk to who? I've never understood that.
Kayla.
I struggle with both sides of it. I think having a chain of command in the school district is important. Without it, you're going to have a lot of crossfires going every which way, and that maybe isn't conducive to our everyday needs. But I also have a hard time with it because I think a lot of people in the community are friends with a lot of teachers. I know that I've become friends with a lot of my kids' teachers, and so it's hard not to have those conversations about the things that are needing attention in the school district. So again, it's a difficult question to answer. I think we can have a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, I really do think you have to have some chain of command and some way of communication and flow. Otherwise, there's going to be a little bit of chaos. So I do think that it's necessary, but I'm also not in favor of someone being able to have a conversation with someone they feel most comfortable with, because they might feel more comfortable talking to one person than another. So again, it's kind of a tough question to answer. There's a need for it, but also, we should be able to have those conversations if we need.
Rhonda?
One of the things I'm looking at, if elected to the school board, is adopting a school. I know Terry already touched on this briefly, so I had asked Dr. Willard if this would be something possible, because there is that chain of command. But I do believe that it would be important for each of us board members, and there are only 5, so one of us would have 2 schools, but I do believe it would be important to adopt a school. I don't know how that would be decided. That's something that the board would have to discuss. But in that process, we would meet with staff, students, and family on a consistent basis. I do believe that we all need to be heard, respected, and valued, all within the gamma of the chain of command. I do respect that process, but I do also believe that everybody deserves to be heard, because if you're not heard, you just don't feel valued and appreciated. And without that, I don't believe that good learning can take place. So I would definitely be in favor of adopting a school. Thank you.
So as we move this question to the other side, for any comments you might have, let's start with Jessica and move to Jason and Teresa. And the question, once again, describe the role of a school board member as you see it. Specifically, should school board members be involved with and communicating directly with teachers and staff?
Disagree with anybody. I mean, I do think a chain of command is important. And yes, I do think school board members should be involved with teachers, with students, with parents. I mean, I think this is important to be a community, and I think that's really what the school board should be trying to help do, is build the community with parents, students, and everybody.
The school board member, you're a community representative. You're one of 5, one vote of 5 on the board that helps the administration with set policy and act as a sounding board for some of the issues they have, and represent the community in some direction on some big picture items. So chain of command, it's definitely the most efficient way to communicate and get some action taken. However, so I support that, but I would also, as a passionate community member, have an open door to listen to some of the issues and help to develop a plan of attack as to how to solve them. So, as a school board member, you have your role, and it's important that you stay within your lanes, however that's defined. As a passionate community member, it's always you're always welcome to pitch in and help out.
And Teresa.
I'm definitely in favor of more communication between the board and the teachers. When we have a chain of command, it leaves a gap. It goes teachers, administrators, superintendent, board, there's a gap there. And it's always different to hear a summary than to be in the room where it happened. And I'm definitely in favor of finding more ways. I love the idea of being adopted as and taking on one of the schools. I think that it's of the most importance. If I have to make decisions as a school board member that affects classrooms, teachers, and students every day, why should I not be able to walk in a school and get to know the teachers and get to know the students and be able to have a better perspective of what's needed there and what decisions I'm making and see how they affect them? So I'm definitely in favor of more communication between teachers and the school board.
Thank you very much, candidates. We're going to move to our 9th question, and it's going to start with Jason and the 3 folks on that side of the table. If you can solve this question, by the way, there are many people out there who would like to talk with you. Hiring is a challenge across South Dakota, particularly hourly positions. In the school district, we're talking bus drivers and janitorial support, particularly challenging. If you were on the school board, what could you do to really help this problem?
Well, I think we encourage culture. We look at our culture of support. It goes right back to the community having positive support for our current staff and creating an environment where people want to be here. And that includes many elements. And when growing up around here, it was well known that it was very difficult to get a job in the Brookings school system. Now it seems like we're having troubles and we're fighting fires just to get through the day. So, I believe the answer to the majority of our problems is the community working together and supporting our school district moving forward with those issues. Thank you.
Jessica.
Well, so, as a community, I think it has been tough on all businesses, and like you said, especially for like finding bus drivers and stuff. I think just the last couple of years has probably really increased that, and I think as we're starting to come out on the backside of COVID, that it will improve. I think more people are feeling safer to go back to work, and more people are willing to start putting themselves back out into the community.
I know that most people in education aren't in it solely for the money. There's other rewards and satisfaction they get from it. That said, we do need to keep our wages competitive because there's only a pool of so many people that can fill those jobs, and we do need to do our best to keep those positions in the running. I think that one thing the schools do offer is it's a 9-month job in a lot of times, so it is for people who may want to be, a mom who may want to be home with her kids in the summer, so it does have some other aspects that are attractive to people, and we just need to really be flexible in what we offer, and maybe even be offering some of those positions some partial benefits in other ways to attract people into those positions that are so needed.
Let's move it over to this side of the table. Rhonda, some ideas on hiring people, particularly hourly?
This is near and dear to my heart as a former school secretary. There were times where us hourly staff didn't feel valued. It seems that everything was centered around our teaching staff, and I am not taking anything away from them because they deserve that all. But I also believe that it's a team effort. Without the educational staff, you wouldn't have an office staff, or the hourly staff. Without the hourly staff, you wouldn't have the educational staff. So I believe that there needs to be more unity. I also believe that we need to look at their pay. I do know, like I mentioned in my opening statement or somewhere along the way, that if you can go to Culver's and make $17 an hour, but you're only getting paid $16 an hour as a TA in our system, There's something wrong with that because those TAs work hand in hand with our students and sometimes our most difficult students with their behavior challenges. I also believe that communication is a huge issue. I believe they need to be heard. They need to be heard and they need to be valued. And I think another aspect we could look at is looking over our 60-plus population to possibly fill these roles. Thank you.
Kayla.
I think she just read my paper. We have a lot in common there. I believe that retention is a big issue because hiring is an even bigger issue. So we want to make sure that we're retaining the staff that we have. We have amazing teachers. I say that from the bottom of my heart. I've met so many of them. So retaining them, helping them feel heard, helping them feel valued, supported in their roles with staffing. If we do need to hire, making sure that we are offering a competitive wage. With inflation on the rise, we have to provide a livable wage. Otherwise, our teachers and our staff are going to be forced to go somewhere else. It might not even be that they want to go somewhere else, but they're being forced to. And I'm hoping that with the funding that's coming through that we'll be able to look at those and be able to offer more for our teachers because I think that their job is so important. Like, these children are our future. So maybe even offering some competitive wages, but also coming up with some creative hiring packages. Do we need to look outside of the Brookings community if we can't find those staff or those professionals here in the community? So I think there are things that we can do, but retention is my biggest issue. Let's try to keep the ones that we have because they're phenomenal.
Okay, Terry.
I think everybody has done a great job of back on looking at being competitive with the hourly rates. And I think to always push the perks, like Teresa said, to always push the perks. You know, as a former Taco John's employee from way back, you know, I mean, they could increase the pay for me, but if I had to close every night at 1 a.m. and I had to clean, you know, so I think looking at the perks we offer, but also staying competitive and at the same time being creative, I think would get us very far.
Okay. Violate our protocol here, Emily, and I'm going to give 25 seconds to each person. Oh, you don't have to time that. Make it 30. Quick answer to this difficult question. Some people have noted that there's a negative slide away from parental involvement in education, kind of a deterioration of the family, and yet the family is so important to the educational process. So how would you turn this around? How would you propose to engage parents more in their child's education? Teresa, I'm picking on you again. Go right
Okay,
ahead.
how many more questions are there going to be? No.
We're here till noon, aren't we?
Okay, I think our school district is doing a lot to keep parents involved. We have parent-teacher conferences. We have back-to-school events. Parents have to take advantage of that. We even have now the technology, and the teachers can send notes home through the websites that we have and stuff, and keep parents involved. So I think we're doing a lot, but parents are busy, you know, and I think I feel like there's a lot of involvement at the elementary level, and then as kids get older, that might be falling off. And so we just really need to, especially at that middle school and high school level, even though we feel like those kids are getting older and might not need us as much as parents, they still do. And we need to be sure that we're offering events that parents can take part in and that students can invite their parents to come to.
Thank you. Jason.
Little things. Involvement can mean something different to everybody. But little things like just attending their events or providing some sort of snack for a field trip or providing a few pencils or whatever. Little things like that all lead to big things. And encouraging parents just repetitively and all the way through to contribute just a little bit here, some Gatorades for the trip or something like that is a great place to start.
Jessica.
One of the things that I think hits close to home, as she said, as students age, I do feel like parents do sort of stop becoming as involved. And I guess one thing that I would like to try is I kind of think it'd be a good idea to kind of do a parent-teacher social and just getting parents and teachers together. And it really encouraged parents to show up. I think that's the big aspect, is getting parents to show up.
Terry, go ahead.
Because I think it's easy. I would guess the majority of us came from families that had parents that were involved and interested. And so when we're all kind of talking from the same place and talking about a group of people that probably not many of us fit into, how do we? And I think the first thing I would do is talk to the teachers. The teachers are the first people to interact with parents. As a school board member, I'm not going to call a parent, but as their teacher, where do you see gaps? What can we do? And so it's a really delicate thing, but what my family does and what a lot of us do, that's not all families. And so to just say, well, all families do this, you need to come more. No, that we can't assume all families look like our families. And I think teachers are the first line to say, where do you see some needs with families? As a community, what do you think we need to offer? Where do we need to listen? Because not all families look alike. And I think it's just so easy to say they just need to get involved. That doesn't always work for all families. And so we need to be listeners, and we need to listen to the teachers first.
Kayla.
I see this happening a lot, and it's sad to me. Like Teresa said, I like the idea of asking the teachers of ways that they feel like they can try to encourage this involvement, because I do think it's important, and I think our children need it. I miss the days where we could go into a classroom. I don't know how many of you out there have ever gone and ran a Halloween party or a Valentine's party, and what that 35 minutes does for a teacher or a teacher's aide to be able to prepare for the rest of their lessons. Simple things like that. I realize not every student's guardian can show up and do those things, but now with hopefully COVID behind us, maybe we can start to encourage those things more. Teacher-parent interactions. I think it's so hard sometimes with technology. Sometimes I have no idea, or feel like I have no idea what's going on with my kids. So trying to have those face-to-face conversations again and encouraging people to come together, encouraging our parents, that's all we can do. We can't make them show up to these things, but we can certainly offer it. And I know that I haven't seen any offerings like that since I've become part of the Brookings School District. So I'd love to see that again. And I think, like I said, with all of this kind of going behind us, maybe we can start doing those things again and bring some more fun back into the schools with our parents and our kiddos and our teachers. So that would be a priority of mine.
Okay, Rhonda.
This is a two-way street question. As a former staff member, it starts with the back to school times. And if you as a parent don't sign up with that to meet with your staff member, that's on you. I do believe that parental involvement starts at home. This is your child we're talking about. Invest in them. They are your most precious gift that you're giving to the school district staff to work with. And as the school secretary, I took that responsibility very seriously. I treated every child as I would treat my own. I had lots of kids over the years. So I do believe that parents don't feel that they are heard. That adopt a school policy would come in where they would allow parents to be heard. Stop the blame game. I believe that parents are blaming staff. Staff might be blaming parents. We need to be a team. This is your child that we're raising together. And if you expect the educational staff to do the majority of the work, then support them. I saw that firsthand as a school secretary, that sometimes if a school member was trying to invest in their child, that the parent wasn't open to that. So, and always reach out to staff. That's what they're there for. They want your child to succeed. So reach out to staff. It comes down also on the parents. Thank you.
Okay, we have run out of time for questions. Thank you for submitting your questions. It's time for our closing comments. You have up to 2 minutes to begin your to make your closing comments. And I'm going to start at this end with Rhonda May.
Nothing like putting me on the spot, Don. Thank
There you go. Yeah, up to 2 minutes.
All right. I would like to thank everyone again for being involved in today's forum and to my fellow candidates. This is going to be a tough choice, everybody, so good luck. A sincere thank you to Melissa and Van, also as outgoing board members. I truly appreciate your commitment as a parent. What values are important to me? Accountability in myself and everyone involved in the education process. This starts with the parents and guardians expecting it of their students, to the staff, and finally the administration. School safety for all students and staff. I'm hearing that not all students and staff feel safe, especially in the upper levels. I would like to look into possible safety grants to see if anything would be available to our district. If we increased our school safety, I feel that mental well-being of our students and staff would also increase. Respect. Respect for others, even if we don't share the same thoughts. My golden rule? Treat others as I wish to be treated, and to model the respect I wish to earn. I want all students to succeed while supporting them, their families, our staff, and administration. These students are our future. Helping them achieve success and responsibility will ensure everyone of a bright future. I sincerely care for all in the education system. I'm not afraid of hard work or researching issues. I am able to work with others. I have a servant's heart. I'm a problem solver and look outside of the box for solutions. I have no agenda other than to see our students and staff succeed and to celebrate their successes. You can email me at mayforboard2022@gmail.com or follow me on Facebook at Rhonda May for Brookings School Board. Thank you again. I am eager and excited to serve as a Brookings School Board member, and together we are working, educating, and inspiring. Thank you.
Closing comments, Kayla Lounsbury.
I also want to thank the Chamber for putting this together this morning, and to every one of you in attendance and watching. The district is great in so many ways. I've seen that in my short time here. We have fantastic teachers. We have great facilities with even more on the way. We have great students, and I really do believe that we have community members that want to be involved. With that said, there are a few things that we've fallen short on. Some of those, I believe, were thrown at us with the situations of the last 2 years. And with that, some things got overlooked, whether that was curriculums not being implemented correctly or mental health issues that it's created, failure rates. And until we address some of these issues, we're going to continue to see these behaviors, these truancies, and failure rates on the rise. So it's putting stress on our teachers, and they need our support. I believe the skills that I've acquired over the years as my role as a CFO, as an entrepreneur, have prepared me for this role, making difficult decisions, managing funds, attention to details, and communication is vitally important to me. Keeping the community informed and involved on what is taking place within our schools is one of my main priorities. Being a mother has also prepared me for this role. I am empathetic, yet I'm logical and can easily see both sides of an issue. Moms out there? Overall, I think my work ethic speaks for itself. I'm excited to have the opportunity to run for this position, and I can promise the community one thing, is that I will put in the necessary work. With that, I respectfully ask your vote on April 12th. Thank you.
And closing comments now from Teresa.
I want to thank everybody for being here today, and a thank you to the Chamber. I want to thank all the teachers. This has been, the last 2 years, has been just something nobody ever expected. Administration, our school board, and so I always try to come at life from just a place of gratitude and thankfulness, because if you're not a teacher, I don't think anybody can fathom the road they've had to walk these last 2 years. So I thank all of them for that. My life has been driven by the question, what are you doing for others? That's been my life motivation. And it's an honor to serve. It's a life calling of mine to serve. And I believe my strengths of positivity and harmony, and my years as an ordained minister working with a wide range of people, all different kinds of people, has afforded me the strength of listening. And listening, I believe, isn't short commodity anymore. We're quick to spout out either on technology or verbally, and we've seen that. We've seen that in our community. We've seen that at meetings. And so I bring the gift of listening and it's an honor just to serve, and I look forward to having everybody vote. I think that's what we all need to do, is to get out and encourage people to vote. And I thank all of you for being here. I know that it's easy to be apathetic. What does it matter? Who cares? Nobody's going to show up. So thank you for your interest, and thank you for being here. And I just want to thank everybody for running. I think 6 people running is amazing, and I think other communities would hear about Brookings, and you have 6 people running for 2 spots. Some people go, "Ugh, that's off." That's amazing. And so I think it speaks volumes for our community. Thank you.
And now closing comments from Jessica Gearing.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the Chamber for putting this on and the community for being present and watching online. I would say that I'm probably the least professionally versed person up here. And if I knew I had to do this, I probably would have reconsidered. But yeah, I mean, I decided to run basically because I'm a concerned parent. I see what's going on in the high school, and I fear for my kids, being as young as they are and where it's going to be when they hit high school. And I do believe that it's a community effort. I think it's going to involve everybody. The last couple years have been challenging, but I don't think that it's been the only challenges. And I feel like as a community, if we come together, parents, students, community members, everybody, I think that we can build back better. Yeah, I look forward to hopefully being your school board candidate.
And next candidate with closing comments.
Well, this is, I want to thank you all for attending here. This is what involvement looks like. I want to thank all of you candidates for your involvement, your passion to be part of this process. This is the beginning. The good news is we can fix these problems. We have a tremendous school district. We have some challenges ahead, but we can fix them. Some signs of this is already taking place just by the participation here today, but also I would point to our homecoming week last year when we had our school staff put together a homecoming parade, and the turnout, if you didn't make that, let's look for the one this next fall, but there was a huge turnout, huge participation at that football game that night. It was a lot of fun. The corner is turning, and we've just got to keep it going. Another sign was in the paper this last week with the positive behavior intervention and support program that is being implemented in some of our schools. That's a huge step in the right direction. So there are a lot of things going in the right direction. We need the community to be aware of the issues, come together and figure out the solutions. And in doing so, just that action alone will teach all of our children how to compete, achieve, grow, and succeed. Please show up and vote on April 12th. Everybody in the school district, let's have a great turnout. You're going to have a challenging decision. There's some great candidates up here. And I want to thank you all again for participation.
And the next candidate with closing comments, Teresa Binkley.
Thank you to the Chamber for this opportunity. I think we've had great discussion. Thank you to the candidates for all your, I can tell you, we're all very prepared, and I appreciate that. It gave us great discussion. I want to thank the audience here and those online that are listening. And I want to thank all of our teachers. Our district employs over 300 people, and they all take part in the education of our children. You know, not just the teachers in the classroom, but the assistants and the bus drivers and the custodians. I remember kids in my school that their best friend was the custodian, Norman. You know, he was the one that everyone loved to talk to and visit with. That said, another, I think, really plus in our district was we had a teacher just awarded this week, if my memory serves me right, Milliken Award for, how excellent is that? $25,000. We do have quality teachers, and we need to keep them. I'm hoping that you understand that the experience the education that I have in my background could be a huge benefit to our school board. And that's why I'm asking for your vote. I really look forward to the community service that I could provide, and I think the best way for me to do that is using my background and experience to serve on the school board. We've covered a lot of things this morning, and like a teacher, I have handouts. If anyone wants to have some summary of my goals and vision, they can sure come up and visit with me after the forum. And like everyone said, just get out and vote. It's our responsibility, it's our duty, it's our privilege. And so early voting starts on Monday, and Election Day is April 12th. And thank you again. Thank you for coming.
Well, that concludes our Brookings School Board Candidate Forum. Many thanks to Leanne Pierce, who was running the questions up here, and to Emily Howell for the timekeeping, and to Andy Foberg for your excellent penmanship and writing those questions out. I do appreciate that. Thanks to the Chamber's Public Affairs Committee for bringing you the forum, the Brookings Economic Development Corporation for being our sponsor, and coffee from Cool Beans. Thank you very much. And thank you for running for the school board. As someone who runs a leadership program in South Dakota, leadership starts with stepping up, and so we really appreciate your stepping up. These 6 candidates running for 2 open seats. Election is April 12th, along with the city council election that same day. A recording of this forum will be made available on the Brookings Chamber of Commerce YouTube page early next week. I'm Don Norton. Thanks very much for coming.